Well, yeah, Cars 3 isn't going to be like that at all. Yeah, Ben and I legit almost lost our heads when we saw that crash for the first time. In case you missed it, Pixar just released their latest trailer for Cars 3 during the Daytona 500 last weekend, and so today we're going to go frame by frame and give you our in-depth analysis, review, and predictions for Cars 3. By the way, link to the actual trailer in the description in case you want to watch that first. So as I said, you may recall, Cars 2 kind of barely about racing at all. Of course, you might not recall. I know I personally try not to think about that movie too much. But in this trailer alone, there are like at least 5 different racetracks, so it is going to be super about racing, which is a novel concept for a movie about a race car. Even Cars 1, where the plot was driven forward, by lightning trying to get to a race at the end. For the most part, the movie isn't actually about racing. On the other hand, almost every scene in this trailer is on a racetrack, starting with the opening scene, an overhead shot of the Motor Speedway of the South. This quickly fades away to the Disney logo, which blinks out of focus in a negative version of itself, which is an effect typically more commonly associated with horror movies.
Hello.
Sorry, I don't know what happened there. Next, we get a closer look at the track, and we can see a lot from here. First, there are 33 different racers. The name of the race is the Dinoco Light 350, which makes Dinoco kind of sound like a light beer. Even the font used looks like Natty Light. You can see Jackson Storm is in the lead position and Lightning in third. The pole in the middle of the track also confirms Storm's number is 20 and not 2.0, which I still feel like is meant to represent him being the face of the next generation. That scene then fades out to a negative of the Pixar logo.
Thanks for watching.
Sorry, I don't know what that keeps happening. From there, we fade into a few clips of the Dinoco 400. The blue skies give you the feeling like it's the old days, and it contrasts really well with the negatives of the logos we just saw. Gives you a real sense of foreboding. Following that, we get a few slides of text interspersed with more racing shots. Among them is an under the axle shot where we see more of the Dinoco 400. You can see some interesting sponsors here, including Nitro Aid, Trunk Fresh, No Stall, Shiny Wax, and whoa, what is that? Is that a Dinoco car? Yes, it is, and that's exciting for me because we spend the entire first movie wondering whether or not Lightning will get the Dinoco sponsorship, and at the end, he eventually turns it down, but we never really revisit it in Cars 2. We don't know who gets the sponsorship, so I'm excited to see who that character is. Then we hear some voiceover listing off some stats about Jackson Storm's training, but here's where we get the first slide of text that caught my attention a little. The word stronger. Stronger is a weird choice of word for cars. Like, I know there are things called muscle cars, but even if you came up to me and were like, my car's stronger than your car, I wouldn't think like faster. I would think maybe it can tow more? So what does stronger mean? Well, my guess is that it's kind of like what we discussed in our theory video, Are Cars Alive? Which suggests that cars had some sort of organic or biologicalness to them. That's a word, right? I know that sounds weird, but it makes the word stronger make a little bit more sense, like they have muscles or something that they can train to get stronger and therefore faster. I also think it offers a little bit of explanation as to how like Lightning and Jackson are able to just like cruise around other cars in the middle of a race. Like, how are they going faster? Are they just trying harder? Why doesn't everyone drive that fast? But like, you don't ever see that happening in real NASCAR, because in NASCAR you have cars that are all built to the same spec. So you can't just drive past someone because you're faster. You have to outmaneuver them or be a better driver than they are. The idea that you can train to get faster though makes sense, especially since in this trailer we see both Storm and Lightning training, and like what would even be the point if you couldn't get faster, right? Anyway, then faster flashes on the screen and you see Jackson Storm being just that. He blows past a bunch of older looking cars on the BNL Raceway. They cut to the LA International track and we see him catching Lightning, and then cut to Copper Canyon where he's winning a race outright. This is followed by yet another montage of racing clips which do have a few points of note. First is Lightning being the lone older model car amongst what seems like a sea of supercars. Like, he is the only one who can stick with them. By the way, I just love the animation in the sequence, like how the camera is shaking as things zoom past. Like, that's exactly how it looks in a real NASCAR race. But he cannot hang with them for long. We get a real clear shot of Jackson Storm and the 19 car and the 24 car just zipping away from the field. Then we get a nice overhead shot where we can confirm the number of the new Dynaco racer as 42, which is interestingly one less than 43, which was the King's number in car 1 and Richard Petty's number in real life. But that's not the most interesting thing in this shot. The most interesting thing is that purple car. Keep an eye on it because we'll come back to it. But before that, let's talk about the crash, which is the next thing we see. And I have to say, it looks like Lightning causes it himself by overexerting himself. We get a few shots leading up to it, each one Lightning shaking more and more. First you see Jackson Storm behind him, then he has disappeared, then he is way out in front, and then Lightning is just... Now, this crash looks familiar like the one we saw in the teaser trailer, but it's not exactly. Pay attention here, we're gonna play them side by side for you. Clearly it's the same crash, but with definitely a different aesthetic, which makes me think one is the actual crash and one is more like a bad memory or a dream sequence of the same crash. Personally, if you ask me, I think this crash is going to happen in like the first 5 minutes of the film, and then it's going to haunt Lightning for the rest of the movie. Moving on though, we then see Lightning driving with Dynaco and Purple again before we get into his training montage, which involves driving on the beach of all places with a new paint job. I know my car always runs better after I've driven it on sand. The training also involves a return to the dirt track at Radiator Springs, which gave me all of the feels. And we get to visit the track Doc Hudson used to race at, which looks like it might have been transplanted from The Good Dinosaur because man, being in the woods with the cars just looks really great. Also mixed into the training montage is a shot of Jackson Storm winning the appropriately titled Data Shift 400. And this is where the trailer really punches you in the stomach because after the training montage you think, yeah, things are looking up, but it's all leading up to this. Lightning flipping out of control at a mega high speed. Oh my gosh, I'm serious, it gives me chills every time I watch that crash. But if you listen to the voiceover that's playing while it's happening, it says you can't turn back time. And upon much closer viewing, I realized that the crash we're seeing is actually being played in reverse at like a really high speed. So it's like being rewound. Actually, just for fun, we went ahead and reversed this footage and then slowed it down a little. Here's what it looks like. Notice how the cars in the background are now traveling in the correct direction. Now, there are a few more quick little things that happen after this, but only one thing really caught my attention. And it's this shot of Lightning leading a pack of older looking cars. Among them, the purple car, number 19, the Dynaco car, 00, and number 31. And what's interesting about this is that 19, 31, and 00 have all been seen in other parts of the trailers as supercars. And yet, here they all are as older looking models. So do you know what I think is happening here? That these cars are not racing each other, they're racing with each other. That is how they're going to take down Jackson Storm. Individually, none of them are ever going to be as fast as Jackson Storm, but by working together and drafting off one another, they can conserve energy, conserve fuel, and travel faster. As for why they went from being supercars to the more traditional model, I can't say for sure, but I'm betting there's something sinister about the whole supercar thing, or maybe the fans don't like it, like it's ruining the integrity of racing. Remember, in the last trailer, there wasn't a single car in the stands rooting for Jackson Storm. I mean, personally, if I were a sponsor, that would be a pretty darn good reason to, switch drivers. Number 19 in particular is the one that is really standing out to me because 19 is the one we see next to Lightning the most in the trailer, and I'm betting that's because number 19 is none other than Cruz Ramirez, Lightning's new training partner. And why do I think it's 19 in particular? Well, did you know that Lightning is number 95 because that's the year Toy Story came out? Well, it is, but here's the thing. Do you know what the other half of 1995 is? 19. Calling it right here. Cruz Ramirez is number 19. You heard it here, Super Carlin brothers. Ben, I am so excited for freaking Cars 3. My question for you and everyone else is, what do you think? Will Cruz Ramirez in fact be number 19? Will they work together to take down Jackson Storm? Let me know your thoughts in the towel section down below. These socks are amazing! Guys, thanks for watching as always. Please remember to like this video if you haven't already and subscribe so you don't miss any future Cars videos. If you want to see my video about why I think cars are alive, you can check that out